serious.
All right, now this is full disclosure. The Book of Us is a judgment-free zone. Listen close to what we don't condone. Now there's no bashing, no clashing, no harassing. Regardless of your status, you will be held accountable for your actions. Now that's enough said. Now here's your hosts, Rome, India, and Chanel. Bless up, world! It's us again. We got a dedication here, y'all. It's your boy Rome Jones, and I'm in here with my ladies, India Renee and Chanel Denise. And we got a very special guest with us here today, Miss Octavia Clarkson in here, y'all. What's up, Octavia?
Hey.
Hey, so
right,
look,
much.
we want to get right into it with you because as you are aware, we're talking PTSD this month here on the Book of Us, and we got a couple of questions for you. We want to kind of just get your thoughts surrounding this topic. And the first thing we want to know from you is, are you familiar with PTSD, and what are your thoughts around it, just in general?
Okay, so before we even begin, anytime I speak anytime I speak, I just like to center us culturally, and I also like to just honor those who came before us. And so in doing that, I definitely want to shout out Julia Humphrey and Lucius Humphrey, those of which both India and I are descendants of and from. But I also want to acknowledge the spaces of those who are indigenous and native to this space, because without them, we wouldn't be here. And so I just give all the ones even unnamed honor right now before we even begin, because a lot of what they've endured adds to this conversation of post-traumatic stress disorder or syndrome that we are discussing. And it's a lot of their trauma that has been passed on and their will to survive that has really just more so surfaced through us, because we are now at a space where we can discuss it and carry it. But I initially heard of it in college. And so that was a little while ago, but probably around at least before early 2010 or so. And I just know that it can look very different in many different people, depending on their lives experiences and just their background. And I can disclaim that I am not a mental health expert, but I am somebody who prioritizes mental wellness. And being someone who has recently been trained to be a peer support mentor, because we need healing and we will continue to heal as African descended folks. And so I personally take my journey serious, and I'm always engaging in ways that can really just bring just a sense of wellness to myself, to our community, but also to prioritize just healing in general, and just healing justice, like ways that we can really speak about that more. And so, yes, post-traumatic stress disorder is just, it's deep. We're not even going to be able to touch on the extent of it, but it's definitely something that we need to be talking about more. And so I'm grateful to be here.
Good. That was really good. Shout out to the ancestors, man. A lot of people don't realize a lot of stuff that we're going through is actually generational. A lot of people don't believe in generational curses, but that stuff is definitely real. And if somebody in the family don't heal it, it's going to keep going. So I definitely appreciate you for, mentioning that, especially for the Black community, because we don't talk about PTSD and we don't really talk about the stuff that we've been through in our past or what our grandmothers or whoever else before us been through. So I really appreciate it. But to segue into the next part of it, have you or someone that you know personally experienced PTSD?
Yeah, so I can say, so one thing I've learned as someone who is a peer support, I am not quick to diagnose myself or even others, because that can be very dangerous for so many reasons, as we probably know and we've experienced in our community. But I do know people who have endured PTSD, and obviously for the sake of confidentiality, I won't share it here, especially specifics, but I can describe what PTSD is. And a lot of that is just consistent trauma, consistent pain, consistent agony over, like you mentioned, generations, years, childhood. And then you hear phrases like, your inner child's needs not being met. So things like that. Like if you're someone who grew up and your family just wanted to, make sure that you have food, water, shelter, clothing, those needs were met, right, on like a survival level. But what about your emotional needs, right? Or what about your mental wellness? Or what about just your ability to speak and just say your piece? And so I could say for sure that there are elements of even my childhood where it was just like, I even wish I had a voice. And I'm someone who is an educator, and it's crazy because it's most recently that I realized that I'm always encouraging my students to find their voice. And yet I was someone who did not have a voice growing up. And that's not to, slight my parents or slight their parenting ability, because parenting is learning, but it's just something that I'm realizing now to move forward and be able to like have the tools to be able to be like, okay, I'm an educator helping children find their voice, but I also have to find my own. And that is also part of my mental healing journey, is to just be able to acknowledge what has happened in the past and be able to move forward. And so, PTSD can look like anything in any person, because we have our different triggers, we have our different things that like are hurtful. I mean, we're all different, unique folk. And so there's no like, oh, if you endure this, you will have PTSD, or if you overcome this, you will have PTSD. You probably will because it's trauma, it's collective, or how can you say, like cumulative trauma. However, you may also not. You may have the tools to be able to overcome and not have this trauma where it may stop you in your tracks and prevent you from moving forward unless it's dealt with.
Yeah, thanks for like digging in a little deep and sharing, of trauma, especially back to what you said. We just have to speak our truth, acknowledge our ancestors, know what our parents and so forth have been through in the past. But I think we're supposed to learn from our past experiences. And I think in our community, that's not something we're allowed to do. And see, if it was our childhood, and we're supposed to do exactly what our parents have told us to do, not question it or anything. And I think you sharing that opened up that conversation of that can cause a traumatic experience in your life. Different people have different languages, and receive love in ways. And I think if we start from an early age to identify that, then, life can go just a tad bit easier. So thanks for sharing that, because in our community, it's a lot for our parents to kind of hear, but it's okay. But to continue with our last question that we have, from your experience and just helping others, what kind of tools do you use, or if you recommend any tools to help you deal with your trauma?
Yes. So I have so many tools. I have a toolbox. And so this is something I created beginning in So as a child, there were needs that weren't being met that I couldn't really articulate. And so there were tools that I was building. So there's just that. And I didn't know there were tools. There were coping mechanisms. Coping mechanisms are tools. However, as time goes on, you realize that like what I did before isn't working, right? So then you have to adjust. And usually when you adjust, you have to create a new tool or create a new outlet, or however you want to describe it. And so it wasn't until 2016 that I literally sought out a therapist, because I was experiencing trauma from a lot of different places. One being PhD, one being family. I mean, like 9 out of 10 times, like your trauma is coming from relationships, period. Like we're relational people, we need people, but the trauma that we endure often is coming from relationships. And so I was just like, I need to speak to a therapist because I need that time to kind of digest. And initially I went because I was just like, there's a lot of thoughts going in my mind and I just want to sort them out and they're not necessarily good or bad. And I'm someone who I don't like that dichotomy. Like you can evaluate something and analyze something without saying that it's good or bad. You can just be like, it just is. And that's African. But I literally sought out a therapist, an individual therapist. I started doing drop-in classes. I started practicing mindfulness. In undergrad, I actually started doing yoga, and not for like the therapy piece, but just in general, because like my mind, I'm from New York, so my mind is like on 1,000 all the time. And so it's just like, how can I slow down? How can I really be present in the moment and really understand, like, what is life? Like, what is my purpose? Like, really just connect, whether you connect with a higher source or whatever it is. But I wanted to not rush. And so connected to that, I sought out therapy, and I go bi-weekly. I also have group therapy where there's people of all different ages. There's different people who identify differently in terms of gender or whatever it is. And so I just am grateful for the opportunity to really just unpack with people who are willing to do the work. And so, yeah, like the tools I use can begin with like just waking up every day and like saying affirmations, like I'm beautiful, I'm abundant, I'm going to have a great day. And like that could be it. And I could just say that to myself. And even it began with just like, I love myself, like inserting my name, like I love you, Octavia, because like how many times do I hear that? And we can all ask ourselves, like, how many times do we hear someone say that they love us? And it's not that they don't, right? They show it, but it's like the simplest thing. And so your tool can be an affirmation, but it also can be a walk outside. It could also be like in time of grief, prayer, or in time of grief, actually crying it out. And so for everyone, again, it's different, but it's important for you to explore what that can look like. And so when I say I have a toolbox, I literally can pop out anything at any time. And then I also have just close friends who we have a number system. And I learned this from one of my close friends, Coach Ashley Vives. She is amazing. She's a self-love coach. And she just taught me about just creating a number system with close friends. And so like if I wake up and I'm not wanting to get out of bed, I am putting that on a number from 1 to 10. And I'm calling up that person. So like my number 4 may be Ashley, and I'll call her and say, hey, I'm in the bed. In an hour, I'm going to take a shower. Check on me. If I do not take a shower in an hour, then we got to figure out what the next plan is. But like by then, I'm typically up, I'm in the shower, because I know that there's somebody there on the other side that's going to make sure I'm good. And usually it's just making sure my basic needs are met, making sure I'm eating, making sure I'm drinking and staying hydrated, especially now that it's hot. But, it's just really building community around mental wellness and being able to speak it out to each other.
Girl, you out here spitting that fire today. I hear you. I hear you.
Okay, that body bag. She came with all the bars. Like, she not playing
all
with
of that bars.
She not playing with y'all.
The thing that you said that really resonates with me is the fact that you unpack with people that are willing to do the work. I think that is so.
That was the one.
That was the one. That
everything you said.
My spine
that was the one.
That. Because I think that it's so important to be around people to have that mutual accountability. I think that is just so important. Like, you know what I mean? Those are the people that really rock with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
That are willing to go through that battle with you. So I appreciate you sharing that. But you've given a lot of great perspective to us here today, and we definitely gonna have you back.
Yes,
definitely. Yeah.
Right, for a full episode. But you have a lot of things going on. Real quick, let us know where our folks and our listeners and viewers can find you at.
Definitely. So you can find me on Instagram primarily, and that's God's Tavy 142, and that's G0DSTAVY 142. And so you can see my plant-based lifestyle that I live. Another thing with mental wellness is what you're putting in your body. So that's super important, but you can see that. As I said, I'm in a PhD program. I'm at Temple, TU, shout out to them for helping me learn. But you can find me there. You can also find me at Box Bay Biz, and that's BOXBAEBIZ. That is my small business. My partner and I, we created a business around just one of our boxes is about self-care. And it's our Self-Bake King and Self-Bake Queen. And so you can find us there. We also have a spa bay, which is new. So you definitely, if y'all trying to go to the spa, but you could do it at home, you could check us out. And so, yeah, we're all about the community, and we're all about, just really just having these conversations. Like who are we waiting for? Who are we waiting for to allow us to heal and grow and thrive? Like it's us. It's like someone's gift is, something that we need. And so in terms of like gifting, we want to be that go-to company. And so Box Bay is where it's at. And so make sure you guys cop your Box Bay.
Yes. Cop that Box Bay, y'all. And me and my wife, we are very happy customers, I will say. It's a lot.
I think he was trying to.
What kind of box shop?
I think he was the self-care. He was just trying to test everything out. Then damn, I'm like, hold on.
Oh, matter of fact.
Do you got it?
This is the best. This is the best part when I got the stress ball.
Oh, you know what? I thought those were Kegel balls.
No.
I was really about to say, bro, you gonna pull them out on the bookers with us? Like, what you doing, dog?
No.
I was like, you are wild.
Not
wow.
that type of care.
But it's not him. See, it's me. I'm the problem.
It's
Because I heard box, and I really thought, I'm like, oh, that's dope. I'm about to, check it out. I'm gonna still check it out. I'm gonna still check it out. I'm gonna still do it. I promise.
Check it out.
It could be more
obviously need it, right?
Yeah, definitely check us out. Those are our BioDing balls, and those are great. Those also allow you to be present, and so you got to actually figure it out. Like I can't figure out how to do it, and so maybe that's why it's for the men. I don't know, but they're amazing.
I learned from Lawrence Fishburne. Shout out to Boys in the Hood. But this is a good way to tell us out here, though, y'all. So Octavia, thank you so much. Y'all know where to find her at. We're gonna make sure we put all your information down here at the bottom. But real quick though, Chanel, where can they find us at?
You can find us on Instagram at _the book of us _ Facebook, the book of us _ You can also send us an email at thebookofus3@gmail.com, and it's at number 3.
Sweet. And in India, shout out our sponsors. Who's out here holding us down?
We got Marius Naturals, stated by Chanel. And of course, you know we are part of the one and only The Various, and that's spelled THEVARIUS. And that's all I'm gonna say, because I'm gonna mess it up.
I had my fingers crossed, like,
I had faith
you gonna do it, like you gonna do it. And then she paused, and I was like,
so good. I was like, yeah.
That's right, y'all. We are powered by The Various. That is THEVARIUS, content for all, created by us. And until next time, y'all, to the many and to the few, embrace the book of you. Later. The Various.